Have you ever found yourself scrolling through a contemporary art museum and overheard someone utter, "My 5-year-old could have drawn this," or "I could have easily done that"? I'm sure that this happened to all of you at least once. Perhaps some of you may have even thought about it yourself. And well, you're not alone. This growing sentiment raises the question, is there a problem with contemporary art? Why is it so hard for us to understand? Or, as some may ask, is there even something to understand in it at all? Today I want to offer you a way to look at it and hopefully help you understand why art today is the way it is and how we can win. Let me ask you something. When you think of an artist, what are the first character traits that come to mind? A lot of you probably think an artist is creative, imaginative, or original. An artist might be passionate and devoted. Some of you might have even thought that they're difficult or troubled. They will sometimes act as if the rules of society do not apply. Even though these associations seem rather natural, I don't think many of you would be surprised if I said that this wasn't always the way artists were perceived. At the beginning of the 18th century, art was described as a pursuit or occupation in which skill is directed toward the gratification of taste and production of what is viewed. As you can see, emphasis was placed on the value of craftsmanship and the conventional beauty attributed to the piece. But when exactly has that changed? In 1751, just a few decades later, Denis Diderot created the map of the system of human knowledge, which I believe represents the change that occurred in society's perception of art. In his map, Diderot classified human knowledge into 3 major categories: memory, reason, and imagination. In this last category, he listed among others poetry, music, painting, architecture, and sculpture. Diderot was not only one of the first people to collectively classify the fine arts we know today, but he also decided to classify them under imagination. This decision encouraged a shift in the global perception of art and the role of the artist. Less than a century later, another event transformed the role of art: the invention of the camera. Historically, the purpose of art, and painting in particular, was to record moments in time, like a photo. Historically, paintings were very realistic. However, the invention of this camera disrupted this standard. Suddenly, the realistic depiction of scenes and people could be in the hands of pretty much anybody, using a simple and portable device. Artists confronted by this idea started to reconsider the essence of their craft. Their pieces became more personal, therefore political, and ideas more relevant. In today's complex world, art for art's sake has become, in a way, insufficient. Artistic freedom is now used to deal with key questions such as democracy, the environment, migration, and a whole spectrum of other issues. You might ask, what is the problem then? This doesn't seem like such a bad thing, right? What I believe has also happened simultaneously with this change is that to a certain extent, you're now no longer allowed to dislike art. What I mean is that while the message behind art pieces often serves as a valuable insight and can maybe lend us a new perspective on the world around us, it is often used to downplay our own perception and opinion on the artist. If you dislike an artwork, you might be labeled as ignorant because you're blind to the disguised message. Disliking a piece of art is no longer seen as a matter of taste, but rather as an effect of incomprehension. And what makes this so bad is that it facilitates dismissing modern art as nonsense. It is understandable that our own opinion is so often discredited and pronounced as ignorance. It makes it easy to gain a distaste for modern art as a whole. Now, if that's the case, what can we do to navigate the world of contemporary art or efficiency. I know this voice, always accusing you of ignorance, can be discouraging to say the least. However, I think everyone should learn to be immune to it. I know this doesn't seem so straightforward. There's so much art out there. How do we find what we like and stay true to our own perception? My advice is, the next time you see art, start by asking some questions. What do I see? What am I experiencing? What are the materials and the medium used in this art piece, and do they mean something? And finally, how does this art relate to other art? Given this last one might actually be the hardest question to answer, because it does require some prior knowledge. But hey, use the internet, read some publications. It may often be as simple as reading the little text box on the wall when you're at the museum. To give you an example, let's have a look at Banksy. One of his works that I especially like is The Girl with the Balloon. So, at first glance, it is a stencil of a young girl reaching for a red heart-shaped balloon. Now, what about the medium? The use of spray paint, which we usually associate with graffiti and vandalism, here invites us to consider this sense of this artwork as a social commentary. And this is actually the case for all of Banksy's work. Now, when I personally see this piece, it gives me a strong sense of nostalgia. It makes me consider how fleeting are the moments of joy in our life. However, this part can be different for all of you, so you have to figure it out on your own. Finally, what does Banksy say about counterpart? Well, this particular piece has an interesting history. It was originally painted by Banksy in 2002 on a building in East London. However, Banksy's 2006 reproduction was put up for auction at Sotheby's in 2018. Right after the piece was sold for $1.4 million, it shredded itself while on his watch. Now, by using this deliberate move, Banksy took the opportunity to comment on the art world and also its flaws. Now look, by answering those simple questions, we already know a lot about the piece, the artist, and how he views the world. What I'm trying to show you is that contemporary art is often presented to us in this over-the-top manner. However, very often it is simple at its core. You don't have to be an expert to have an understanding and opinion on art. But if you've done all this and still don't seem to get the piece, it might just be that you simply don't like it. Believe me, this may be the case for the vast majority of the art you encounter in your life. And that's okay, because you don't have to relate to everything, and you shouldn't feel obliged to like a piece just because someone tells you it carries a deeper truth. So, what is the takeaway here? Art today can be pretty much everything. So, chances are that there is a work of art out there that you will relate to. All of us have something that matters to us and that is relevant to us. And I wish you all to find this something in art. But by all means, you should also go out there and dislike art, because that is how you'll know when you found the art that you actually do like. Thank you.